Hi, ladies and gentlemen. We need to talk about conflict today. Conflict is the struggle between two people or two forces in literature. You really can't have a story without some sort of conflict. It just wouldn't have any action. There wouldn't be any interest there. Our book actually has 4 types of conflict that we're going to study today. There are additional types of conflict like character versus technology that isn't found in our book, but we've got the 4 main types. We've got character versus character, character versus nature, character versus society, and character versus self. Now, character versus character is pretty much the common type of conflict you can find in any book. It's, Batman versus the Joker or Superman versus Lex Luthor. It's always the good guy versus the bad guy. So the most obvious example of conflict in Touching Spiritbearer is Cole versus Peter. There's a few other ones too. You could argue Cole versus his dad was another example of character versus character. Now, at this point in the book, we don't have a resolution for this conflict. Cole has gravely hurt Peter. Peter's life will never be the same. And as badly as Peter wants Cole's head smashed in so he knows how that feels, really that's not a realistic solution to this conflict. So it hasn't happened yet, but in order for both boys to heal, Cole really must earn Peter's forgiveness. Without that, this conflict will never, ever resolve. The next type of conflict in our book is pretty evident as well. It's character versus nature. And again, there are a ton. Cole fights against tides. Cole fought against the cold and the storm and the lightning strike that toppled the tree on top of him. And obviously there's the biggest character versus nature conflict of them all, Cole versus the bear. So what I want you to do is you can put all of them, one of them, choose the conflict that you want to analyze and insert it into that box. And then the resolution, Cole has actually started to learn this already, but to resolve Cole's conflict with nature, Cole has to learn to live within nature's rules. What that means is if you burn your shelter down, you're going to get cold. If Cole decides to swim against the tide, he's not going anywhere. If he decides to attack a bear, he's going to be attacked. There are common nature rules that we all live by. If we decide to be outside in a lightning storm, we might get hit by lightning or a tree might fall on us, those sorts of things. He's always assumed that he's been better than everyone else and above everyone else, and that's just not true. So he's got to learn his place kind of in nature and how not everything is afraid of him. Just because he's a scary kid doesn't mean that lightning is scared of him or that bears are scared of him either. Excuse me. So our third type of conflict is character versus society. Society are the group of people, our community, and the laws that we use to kind of govern ourselves. So this would be like Katniss Everdeen versus the Capitol. In Cole's story, society isn't bad. In fact, Cole is causing the conflict with society here. So Cole's violent behavior is a danger to society. So he's breaking laws, he's robbing and trashing hardware stores, he's beating up people, and we just can't have that. So society has stepped in, they put him in a detention center, they were going to go to trial, but then circle justice came, he applied to that. And so really it's kind of Cole versus the circle justice is our character versus society conflict. And really, you're probably sensing a theme here. To resolve this, Cole must learn to respect others and live within society's laws. Because again, our laws aren't the problem here. Cole is. So society has stepped in and was basically like, hey, you've got to wise up, you've got to change, or we're locking you away. Now, the last conflict is character versus self. Now, all of these up here were something called external conflicts. These were all happening outside of the character. The character was versus something else. Well, this one is actually what we call an internal conflict. An internal conflict is a conflict you're having with yourself. So it's within the character's mind, within the character's soul. They are struggling maybe with a decision. They might be struggling with who they are. In our book, Cole's biggest problem with himself is with his anger. So Cole has an anger problem. He's even angry with himself. He doesn't even think that he's a good person or worthy of change in the beginning. If you remember the scene in the detention center where he actually beat himself up. But he is worthy of being loved and he is worthy of healing. He's just got to see that within himself. So that's kind of the resolution as well. So he must learn to control his anger. He needs to learn to forgive himself. Remember, he was just starting to realize that he's a good person. Even his dad is a good person. They're just making really awful choices. And in order to fully heal, he also has to learn to forgive others, like his dad. Because without doing that, he's going to keep being angry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please fill this out in your own Touching Spirit Bear tab. It's called Conflict. It's this page right here. Oops. Called Conflict right here. And again, this is a test question. So fill this out. Make sure all of your information is accurate. And if you need to see this document, it's actually in the content library of OneNote as well. All right, so what you're going to do now is read chapters 21 through 22, complete your study guide. If you prefer to listen to it, that is also an option. 5 of you can plug into the CD player. And then if you happen to finish early, please work on your vocab. Remember, that is due Thursday and your quiz is on Friday.